Hello, I'm Kristen Oaks-White.
And I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture. We're moving into the summer months, which is a crucial time for farmers as their crops grow in hopes of a bountiful harvest. But in Louisiana, it's also hurricane season.
The most anxious weather season for the state comes at a time of drought, but there could be relief in the coming months. TWILA's Josh Meeks spoke to the state climatologist to see how it's all shaping up.
After months of dry conditions across much of Louisiana, relief finally fell from the sky. But not everyone was quenched. According to state climatologist Jay Grimes, geography played a lot into whether you saw feast or famine.
Well, we've had a couple of rounds of pretty big rains around the state, but got to understand that the really heavy stuff was kind of isolated to two belts. One through the central parishes running west to east, and then another one along the I-1012 corridor. Unfortunately, where the drought is the worst, the northern half of the state, they didn't get that abundant rainfall.
North Louisiana continues to remain dry, and with rising temperatures, getting the right amount of water in the ground could be a challenge. But Grimes is hopeful it won't be too long before things turn around.
We could see a little bit of a break up there. We're still expecting the second half of May to be tilted to the wet side. So that may give us minor relief, but the problem is this is also the time where the evapotranspiration, the plants are using the moisture at the shallow levels, and the daytime heating is evaporating that shallow soil moisture as well. So unfortunately, I don't anticipate big improvements, but maybe some marginal improvements across the northern half of Louisiana.
As the moisture rises, so does hurricane anxiety. Colorado State University, which releases a highly regarded forecast every year, is thankfully calling for a below-average season. Grimes tends to agree, thanks to a strong El Nino pattern.
Well, I've looked now at about 10 different forecasts, and 9 of the 10 are at or below normal. And El Nino, the forecast for El Nino is a big part of that.
El Nino typically increases wind shear across the Atlantic, making it a lot harder for tropical systems to organize.
In terms of El Nino as a whole, it reduces the number of storms that form in the Atlantic basin collectively. But it often means an even greater than average reduction for the Gulf of Mexico. So El Nino is our friend.
Reporting for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, I'm Josh Meeks.
Colorado State University predicts 6 hurricanes for the Atlantic and 2 major storms in the 2026 season. Both of those numbers, by the way, are below the 35-year average.
So historically, how accurate is this forecast?
CSU is pretty spot on, especially in recent years, from 2020 to 2025. They call for a low season. It's been a low season, high season, high season. This year, of course, they're calling for a low season. So is Jay Grimes. I tend to put a little bit more stock in what he thinks about the hurricane season. And it's also worth noting that these predictions are only for the number and intensity of these storms. There's no way to actually tell where they're going to go.
Yeah, it only takes one storm, but I always listen to Jay, especially when he has those sleeves rolled up. Thank you very much, Josh Meeks.
After being in drought for much of this year, Louisiana got some much-needed rains recently.
However, some areas got strong winds and hail that did not help vegetable growers in particular. This week, TWILA's Neil Melanson shows us one family farm struggling with weather and more.
Most farmers have been grateful for the recent rains in Louisiana. Certainly a vegetable grower like Brant Roban needs them. What he didn't need were the 90-mile-an-hour winds that knocked down his tomato stands, which he now has to re-engineer to be more stable.
It's not a quick and easy process. It's not something that I never had to do before, and it's something that has to be done for the first time. But today's weather events that are currently happening, the amounts of rain per hour is what's doing this, along with the winds. I've just never seen relentless winds like what we're having right now.
Roban says the system will work and the tomatoes will be ready on time, but problems remain. Bad weather and high prices for fertilizer at the top of his mind, but he says his worry for the future is whether or not the general public knows where their food comes from.
My whole life has been committed to raising vegetables and stuff, and I've seen how we slip down. The general public does not understand, does not know that when you go in the grocery store, and this is the God to honest truth that people just don't realize this, 2% of the vegetables that you buy in the grocery store are grown in the United States. 2%.
At almost 50 years old, he's one of the youngest producers in his field. It's a family affair, too. His wife and son help out at the roadside store, and he greets as many customers as he can personally.
My name is on the front, Roban Farms, and we take great pride in everything that we do, but some people just don't get it, that whenever they see the packaging, they think that is sourced elsewhere, and that's not the case.
Roban grows a lot of different vegetables. Besides tomatoes, there's also corn, onions, peppers, and eggplant. While all their produce is phenomenal and fresh, what Brant and his family really want to pass on is an experience.
They can go to the local grocery store and get a cucumber, but they can't go to that local grocery store and cut their own sunflowers. They can't go to that local grocery store and cut their own zinnias. They can't go to that local grocery store and see the exact plants and teach their kids and grandkids where this blackberry is coming from or where this strawberry is coming from. That's why the American farmer like myself, we do U-picks, and there's a necessity for it because it's a draw.
These baby tomato plants were just planted yesterday and represent not just the next crop, but hope here at Roban Farms. With high prices for overhead and bad weather, there's a lot farmers like Brant Roban have to undergo in order to get this crop out. But as long as he's alive, he says, the new crop will be planted for the next harvest. Reporting from Church Point, I'm Neil Melanson.
You can see a whole lot more of Roban Farms online, particularly on their Facebook page. I follow Roban Farms, and there's always something interesting there. We'll link you over on our website at twilatv.org.
Well, Louisiana will soon have its first ever recreational alligator hunting season. Governor Jeff Landry has signed legislation to give the Louisiana Wildlife and Fisheries Commission authority to create the new season. State Senator Robert Allah says with an estimated 3 million alligators in the state, the new law creates more recreational hunting opportunities while helping manage overabundant gator populations. Hunters will need a basic hunting license, an alligator hunting license, and recreational harvest tags to participate. Well, Monday, May 11th was a big day for Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation. It was Membership Monday, the first statewide membership drive in more than 40 years.
Yeah, it was all hands on deck. Agents and office staff, volunteers and board members, as well as a lot of Louisiana Farm Bureau state office staff scattered to all corners of the state to help make the day a resounding success. TWILA's Carl Wiggers captured it all.
We're starting off with a great day today because it's Membership Monday.
Our Farm Bureau membership is one of the most critical things of our organization. In our strategic planning of the future is how do we make it membership more enhanced and how do we embrace opportunities with us, and the membership drive came out of those conversations.
We're bringing the Federation, we're bringing our board members, our farmers, and our insurance agents together to try to get the word back out about Farm Bureau and what Farm Bureau really is. You know, where it is the true voice of the farmers and ranchers in our state and our country that are providing food and fiber. Before it's an insurance company, we are the voice of Louisiana agriculture.
Working with Farm Bureau, you come to realize the importance farmers have, not just in our parish, but throughout our state and what they bring to the table.
Being a member of Farm Bureau is going to help you know what's going on to better take care of your family and better take care of your parish and your state and your country.
It's very critical that the people are aware of how to support our agriculture industry.
It's just a way to build the farming community, and it always has been, but I know there's more that can be done.
I mean, it really throws back to some of our traditions from generations before us, where it's grassroots connectivity. And that's exactly what you see here behind me in Greensburg with the St. Helena Parish Farm Bureau. You see a collaboration of the board and insurance staff really rocking it and connecting with the community. And we've got jambalaya cooking. I've been here for about 20 minutes, and the sheer foot traffic that I've seen rolling through here has been phenomenal.
I really think the membership is one of the best kept secrets that many people in our local communities don't know about. You know, as we say around here, if you eat, you have a stake in agriculture. Membership Monday allowed us to travel across the state in every parish, no matter the size or the location. Everyone across the state had a common goal, worked on a common theme for our organization in promoting agriculture.
After this effort, there are more than 1,100 new members of Louisiana Farm Bureau, which means even more conversations than that happened this week about the value of being a member of Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation. If you'd like to join and support the farmers and ranchers who put food on our tables, a roof over our head, and clothes on our back, head over to our website at twilatv.org. And you guys, it was a long day. I know for you especially, you drove all the way to Caddo Parish. I mean, we were all scattered across the state, but it was really fun to see parishes all across the state coming together and working for that one mission of gaining membership.
Yeah, fun being the operative word there. So what was your favorite part of the day?
You know, I'll be really honest. I went to Greensburg. And when you think of Greensburg, you think rural, you think small town, but it was popping. Like they were right there on that main street, coming down the main drag. And, you know, there were folks coming in, there were people pulling off the road, getting some jambalaya or pastelaya. And it was just really cool to see kind of people engaging and interacting, and had agents working with board members, with had state sales staff folks, just different folks were there, and it was really fun to kind of be in kind of the buzz.
Monday Fun Day with Farm Bureau. Carl Wiggers, thanks so much. Still to come on TWILA, we sit down with Misty Cordell, candidate for Louisiana's 5th Congressional District. And later we talk a lot about the food we eat, but what about what our animals eat? Stay with us.
You're watching This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week.
We continue our interviews with the candidates running for Louisiana's 5th Congressional District, and today we're joined by Misty Cordell, who is running. And Misty, thank you so much for joining us on This Week in Louisiana Agriculture.
It is my pleasure. I love to come back here. This is such a beautiful building and a great studio.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. Now, you are running, and you've got a little bit of experience in, serving Louisiana already. Tell me a little bit about yourself and where you are right now.
Well, I am born and raised in Northeast Louisiana, Southwest Ouachita Parish. A little town called Luna, Louisiana is where I'm from. So I was born and raised in a rural area. I love the rural people. Getting to travel these 21 parishes of this district has been great because so many of these little small towns feel like home. And I have a long history in service. I have served on many boards, Meg Camps, American Heart Association, Mercy Ministries, a couple of bank boards. This is all my volunteer service. Currently, I am serving as the chairwoman of the Louisiana Board of Regents, which is also a volunteer position, but it's really important work. Very important in the 5th Congressional District, too.
So how did that sort of set you up, and why are you running for the 5th Congressional District?
It's home to me. I hated how the last map was carved up. It really did cut up 2/3 of Ouachita Parish. I was carved out. My parents were carved out. My church family was carved out. And I saw personally how that is going to affect healthcare, education, and of course our most important ag, because we feed the nation in the 5th Congressional District. And I felt that it was my turn to step up and run. I've had all these years of service, and it was time that I serve again in Congress.
Well, I got to throw a little curveball to you here. My co-host for this show is Kristen Oaks White. I think you may know her dad a little bit.
Oh my gosh, yes. Miss Oaks was an English teacher at West Ouachita where I went. And when Kristen, I was on the homecoming court, and Kristen carried my crown years ago. So there's a little bit of an age gap there, but I've known Kristen since she was young.
Well, we'll wait until
Sweet family.
I was going to say, we'll wait till we're off air to get those stories, Kristen. We're going to have those for when we get off air.
I have a picture, actually. I should have brought that with me.
We're going to put that one on. So since agriculture is such an important part for the 5th Congressional District, traditionally, whoever represents the 5th District also has a seat on the House Ag Committee. How important is agriculture to you and in running for this position?
Well, like I said, I mean, we feed the nation in the 5th Congressional District. Many of my friends are farmers, from row crop farmers, loggers, ranchers, cane farmers. This is what drives our area. And it's so important to have a voice there. So often our farmers, we had some testimonies that were given yesterday with the district. Our farmers couldn't come to that. They're in the middle of planning and getting their fields ready, and they need a voice that's willing to come out and fight for them.
You also have a background in healthcare.
I do.
How important is healthcare to the 5th Congressional District, especially given how rural it is? I mean,
so rural.
Yeah, rural hospitals are very important. And we were talking before we went on air about how some folks are expected to drive all the way here to Baton Rouge if they need a specialist.
Oh, yes. So my background, the most amount of work experience I've had has been in healthcare, although I've served in many different capacities. The hospitals that we have in Northeast Louisiana right now, St. Francis, it's busting at the seams. We have one hospital that was purchased by private equity. So many of our patients can't go there, and in order to get specialist care, they have to go to Jackson, Baton Rouge, Shreveport. Again, we're one of the poorest parishes. It's very hard for those families, especially if it's a child, to be able to drive to those areas and afford overnight stay, the transportation, all those things to be able to make sure that their loved one's taken care of. So healthcare, education, and ag are what drive the 5th Congressional District. They're all things that we can't drop the ball on. And it's very important to our people that they have a voice.
So we'll make this the last little softball for you. What reason do you think people should have to vote for you when it comes to the primary?
I'm born and raised rural. I understand rural people, and I want to fight for them. And I have actual working knowledge in education and health care, which, again, those are our 3 drivers. So I think that being armed with that knowledge, I would be a great representative for Congress for the 5th.
Thank you so much for coming here on This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, Misty. She is Misty Cordell. She is running for the 5th Congressional District. Now, no word yet on when those elections will be held now that there's been a delay. However, the maps are still being approved by the Louisiana legislature. We'll update you on that as that happens. Kristen, back to you.
Thanks so much, Avery. We all know what we eat impacts how we feel and even how we look. Well, the same is true for the cattle that become the steaks on our plates and the racehorses we cheer on at the track. That's why quality hay and silage matter so much. Tammy Arender introduces us to a family in Lincoln Parish who takes great pride in the hay they grow.
Here in Lincoln Parish in Downsville, the Eccles are busy working in a tight window to get their silage harvested. They not only raise hay for their own cattle, but they also raise hay here for some high-performance racehorses. To some, these fields may just look like grass. But for Melissa and Malcolm Eccles of Shudrent, this silage is sustenance for their cattle, which is just one part of their farming operation.
We have chicken houses, we have cows, we do a lot of hay. We have our whole family is agricultural. We're all farmers.
Melissa and her bestie, Beth, are hard at work raking the ryegrass silage. Her husband, Malcolm, is baling. Silage is a high-moisture, fermented forage that provides energy and is easily digestible for livestock. And their son is on wrapping duty. That silage needs to be protected from the elements to keep its nutrient value. This harvesting runs like a well-oiled machine.
We have been fortunate that both of our children have taken an interest in agriculture also, and they are following, in our footsteps even.
Shortly after the ryegrass is cut, they'll shift gears and begin cutting Bermuda grass hay, much of it heading to trainers at horse racing tracks across Louisiana.
When we start baling Bermuda hay, then we bale a lot of square bales, and we supply a lot of the trainers for the racehorses that make the circuit through Louisiana Downs, Delta Downs, and Evangeline Downs. We provide them with hay for their racehorses.
Their hay has even won awards at the Louisiana State Fair in Shreveport. So Melissa Eccles says life on the farm is more than just a paycheck. It's a calling rooted in family and hard work.
We've been farming for 30 years, and it's a way of life. It really.
I'm Tammy Arender for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture.
There's a lot of synergy on the Eccles farm. They often use litter from their chicken houses to help fertilize the hay fields, and that hay in turn feeds their cows. Well, before we head to break, we want to take a look at some crawfish prices from around the state. Brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board. In Eunice, Super One Foods has them for $1.99 a pound live and $3.48 a pound boiled. In Lake Charles, check out Carlisle's Boil and Go, where they're $3.89 a pound live or $4.99 a pound boiled. And in Bogalusa, Buddy's sells them for $2.79 a pound live and $5.50 a pound boiled. These crawfish prices are brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board, which reminds you to always eat Louisiana crawfish and to make sure just to ask before you eat. Still to come on TWILA, agriculture education is crucial as fewer children know about where their food comes from. Up next, we'll introduce you to this year's Ag Teacher of the Year. Time Thomas Jefferson once said that agriculture is the crown of all other sciences, and that must be why agriculture projects resonate so well with students.
The Louisiana Farm Bureau's Ag in the Classroom program leans into that, providing teachers with lesson plans and activities involving agriculture to cover every subject. And when someone does that well, they're recognized as the 2026 Louisiana Ag in the Classroom Teacher of the Year.
Are you ready?
This is what's shaking at St. Martin's Episcopal School in Metairie.
I have full faith in your foundation.
Pam Briere teaches science to students from pre-K through 4th grade. These 4th graders are using toothpicks made from wood and Play-Doh made from flour to build structures that can survive earthquakes. It's one way Briere puts agriculture into her lessons.
I like to grow things. I like to eat healthy, and I want to encourage those habits in the students I interact with on a daily basis, and teaching them about how plants grow and the parts of the plants was a great way to start that.
In her classroom, you'll find microgreens growing, a 3D printer building a grid. But what does that have to do with worms?
I said, all right, can we do microgreens, 3D printing, and worms and connect all that together? So 3rd grade learned a bunch of skills to design grids to fit into tuna cans and grow the real microgreens, eat the greens, and then take the roots and feed them to the classroom worms.
She has an amazing classroom. She uses every bit of it, and the kids are so comfortable with her.
Margaret Buddy is on the Louisiana Ag in the Classroom committee. In fact, Buddy taught in the same classroom as Briere and is impressed with what she's done.
She's a very dedicated teacher. She loves science. She loves to teach kids about science. She loves everything about science and getting kids to learn more.
Put it down, let's see. All right, let's check.
For Briere, it's about making the lessons memorable for these students.
It absolutely makes walking in the door worth it. It makes the effort of the prep work and building things and finding the materials, finding the resources entirely worth it. Because I know at the end of the day, they're holding those memories. Oh yeah, this is what we did in science class. And hopefully they remember that for years to come.
Something Briere will remember for years to come is being named the 2026 Louisiana Ag in the Classroom Teacher of the Year.
Her mind never stops. Pam is always thinking about the next thing that she can do, and she does everything so well. She deserves to be recognized as the Teacher of the Year. Really, truly, she does.
I was extremely excited. I put a lot of effort into the projects that I did this year, and it made me happy to know that the application, everything that went into it, was successful. And I mean, I didn't do it to win the award. I did because it was great for my kids. Winning the award's just cherry on top.
For being named the 2026 Louisiana Ag in the Classroom Teacher of the Year, Briere receives an iPad, $500 cash, and an all-expense-paid trip to the National Ag in the Classroom Conference in Providence, Rhode Island. She'll also receive special recognition at the 104th Annual Louisiana Farm Bureau Convention next month. That does it for this edition of TWILA. Be sure to join us next week when you'll see an encore episode. We're taking a week off, but we'll have new stories the following week.
Until then, you can watch all of our stories online at twilatv.org, and be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on TikTok and Instagram. And you can also find all of these stories and more on our YouTube channel. And be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you know exactly when we put out some new content.
For all of us here at TWILA, thank you for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.